Good day everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be explaining the terms according to relation in logic, particularly in Aristotelian logic. So what are the terms according to relation? The first term under this kind of term is the contradictory term or contradictory terms. These are two terms, one of which is the simple negation of the other, or the simple denial of the other. So what is the simple negation of a term? Usually it comes with a suffix or prefix of negation. Example, you have the word like. The contradictory is unlike or dislike. If you have the word happy, the contradictory term is unhappy. If you have the term careful, you have the contradictory is careless. So those are examples of contradictory terms. So one is the simple negation of the other. The second type of term according to relation is known as contrary terms. So what are contrary terms? These are two terms that represent the opposites of each other, or these are extremes. And in between the opposites or the extremes are middle grounds, or things in the middle. For example, we have the tallest and the smallest. So the smallest and the tallest are opposites. They represent extremes. And in between them, there are, I would say, level or hierarchy of things in between them. So we have the nearest and the farthest. We have the shallow and the deep. So in between the shallow and the deep, we have narrow and wide. These are opposites. And in between them, there are gradations of perfections or levels of perfections. Because before you reach the nearest or the farthest, there are in between. Not so far, not so near. And the third type of term according to relation is the privative term. What is a privative term? These are two terms, one of which speaks of perfection or represents perfection. The other is the absence of that perfection. Example, happiness. Happiness is a perfection because it is something that people ought to have or ought to be. So the absence of happiness is what we call sadness. So sadness is the absence of that perfection, happiness. What about love? Love is a perfection. It's good in itself. It's a perfection because we ought to love one another. The absence of love might be what? Hatred. So heart that is without love is a heart that is full of hate. So hate is an imperfection, an absence of perfection. Another example of privative terms, we have sight. Sight is a perfection. We ought to see. And what is the absence of sight? It is what we call blindness. The ability to hear is a perfection. We ought to have that perfection or ability or capacity. So the absence of the ability to hear is deafness. In fact, light and darkness, I would place that as a perfection because a light is a perfection. We ought to have it. And the absence of light is darkness. Another type of term according to relation is the disparate term. So what is a disparate term or disparate terms? These are two terms that are different from each other but belong to one class or the same group or category. For example, we have mango and oranges. Of course, they are different fruits, but they belong to one group or one class, and that is both of them are fruits. We have the chair and the table. They are different things, yet we can put them together in one class or group, and that is furnitures or articles of furnitures. So those are disparate terms. And the last term according to relation is what we call relative terms. They are called relative terms because one cannot be thought of or understood without the other. Example, you cannot speak of a father without the son. You cannot be called father if you don't have a son, and you cannot be a son if you don't have a father. Another, we have the advisor and the advisee. You cannot be an advisor if you don't have an advisee, and vice versa. We have what we call another type of terms according to relation is the horse and carriage, love and marriage. One cannot exist without the other. One cannot be thought of without the other. The husband and wife, you cannot be called a husband if you don't have a wife, and vice versa. So those are the types of terms according to relation in logic, particularly in Aristotelian logic. So thank you for watching and listening. Please click like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.